But anyways, let's move on out into the second half of the podcast. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio and you listen through the whole thing, you don't even know what we're talking about. So thank you so much for listening on Blog Talk Radio, and thanks for the download if you did check us out. Guys on YouTube, what's up? And we're going to disappear in 3, 2, 1. Hope Ricky listened to that. Let's look at it now. 20, Marco Bellinelli of now the Atlanta Hawks. And we'll get to Marco Bellinelli. I got some stuff to talk about him. But anyways, 19, we have De'Aaron Fox of the Sacramento Kings, the highest rookie on this list. 18, we have Yogi Ferrell of the Dallas Mavericks. 17, we got Norman Powell of the Toronto Raptors. At 16, we got his old teammate, Corey Joseph, now of the Indiana Pacers. Now we got Joe Johnson, ISO Joe, not Slow-Mo Joe. That's Joe Ingles. ISO Joe, 15 of the Utah Jazz. 14, we got Jordan Clarkson of the Los Angeles Lakers. 13, we have Marcus Smart of the Boston Celtics. We have a lot to say about Marcus Smart and where he is ranked. Number 12, we got Dave's boy, Robert Covington, who's mostly going to be a starter. Should be Dario here. Dario probably top 10.
Yep.
And rounding it out, number 11, Will Barton from the Denver Nuggets. And we are back here on the Fast Break Podcast. And Dave, the two guys that we got to talk about here are Marcus Smart, and the other one was Marco Bellinelli. And let's start with the good one in Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Marcus Smart was in my top 10, and he was in your top 10.
Huh.
We both ranked him at 7. Ricky had him at 22.
Yeah.
Now, I can't defend Ricky.
Because he's not here.
He is not here. So I will try to get into the mindset of Ricky.
Can you tinfoil on?
Yes. Can you ask me... Ricky, why did you have Marcus Smart so low?
So Ricky, you had Marcus Smart really low.
Well, here's the thing. You look at his offense, and he's not providing anything. He's not providing any offense. He's not that good of a shooter. He shoots under 30% from 3. He's not a guy that you can rely on, at least offensively. And he's a guy who's either super hot or super cold. And I just think that on this Boston team, they need some reliable help offensively, because you look at Jaylen Brown, and the thing about Jaylen Brown, we know he's very athletic, but he's very raw. And one thing about him is, what about Jaylen Brown's offense? And you need that change of pace that maybe Jay Crowder brought, maybe Avery Bradley brought, and Marcus Smart really didn't bring that offensively. But Dave, I mean, I don't see how you ranked him at 7.
And I mean, Ricky, you missed the biggest point here.
How was my Ricky?
The per, you didn't even touch on his per with being 12.
Oh, his per's 12.
His
per was 12.
How can you put him that high?
How could you put him that high? How did you put him that high?
I put him that high because he's exactly what you're looking for off the bench. It's somebody who can come off the bench as a guard and straight out guard ones on other teams. You can have them on their 1 or their 2, either guard position, and you feel confident. And that's one of the things we were kind of going back and forth on. Is honestly, I'm looking at him and I'm going, okay, so do I feel confident with him going up against top 10 point guards? Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Defensively, yeah. I'd be okay with that. You know you're not going to win the offensive matchup. Whatever. That's not why you got him on the team. You got him on the team because he is really, really impressive defensively.
And guess what's coming out? Marcus Smart lost 20 pounds. So now he's going to be quicker.
It's like the opposite of the NFL. Yeah. Off-season time, gained 20 pounds of pure muscle. No. He lost 20 pounds. He's going to be even quicker.
Yeah, and that's from Slam. So, I mean, he says he lost 20 pounds, and now he weighs 219. I've been in the gym nonstop. It's a new me, and he's more explosive. So that might even help him offensively. And God forbid know what that's going to help defensively. So this guy who's already a stud defensively, now going to come in and just be even better. And that's something I want to talk about. Marcus Smart, obviously, is a 6-man. He's got the build of a 6-man. However, Jaylen Brown, who we have in the starting lineup, who is their 2, I like Jaylen Brown a lot. And you know, one thing, he is very raw. He is very athletic, and he has some defensive potential, but he doesn't have that scoring threat. Now, would you feel more comfortable now with the Kyrie trade, putting Marcus Smart possibly in the starting lineup and leaving Jaylen Brown in that 6-man position? What would you feel comfortable with? Or do you want Marcus Smart pairing with Jason Tatum off the bench?
I like Smart off the bench. I think he's a solid leader for this team, especially with the amount of turnover they've had. I think that him coming off the bench really solidifies that unit and kind of eases their transition from, this new starting 4. They have 4 new starters this year.
They have 5 new starters.
No, because they're keeping Horford.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Horford
4
stayed.
new starters.
Yeah, 4 new starters.
5 new starters from 2 years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he is their consistency. He is kind of a glue guy as well. So, I mean, on top of his defensive prowess and, the hilarious times when he does just jack up shots and gets lucky on them, then he's horrifying. We saw a couple games in the playoffs this year where he was actually making shots. Oh, my God.
Well, it was game 3, I think. Game 3 of the Cleveland series where they won the game somehow with Isaiah out. He shoots 57% from the field, 70% from three. Puts up grabs 5 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, had a block, and puts up 27 points. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, it's bonkers.
What the fuck is that shit?
So, given the chance, I mean, he can pop off. But,
he can pop off, but he can't do it consistently.
No.
And you look at you still look at his postseason stats. Shoot 35% from the field, 39% from three, which is really nice if he can do that.
It doesn't even make sense.
And 8.6 points per game. But he had 4.7 rebounds and 4.7 assists. I don't know what Marcus Smart was doing in the playoffs. I don't know if he could do that consistently.
A little bit of everything.
Because he had one game. In every single series, he had one game where he scored double digits. He had 13 points in a Washington series. He had 13 points in the Bulls series, and then he had the 27 against the Cavs.
Yep.
Like, there's no consistency with Marcus Smart offensively, which is why he's so low, but at least his defense would put him in top 5.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. If you can get, like I said, if you can get somebody off your bench who can guard the one on another team, a top 10 guard, that's phenomenal value.
Now, let me ask you something. Marcus Smart did not make the top 10, and we're going to peek at our top 10 right now. Who would you having falling out and putting Marcus Smart in your top 10? Because you look at this, and Marcus Smart, to me, is a top 10 6-man because of what he brings defensively.
Personally, a guy who's actually cemented kind of higher in our top 10 is Enes Kanter. Maybe that's just my lack of value for his position in the NBA at this time. Maybe it's part of the fact that his role's been diminished a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this year, especially with them bringing in
Paul George,
I don't expect them to lean on him as much.
It's going to be interesting, and we'll get to, obviously, Enes later on. But let's get to a guy a little bit lower down that I want to bring up, Marco Bellinelli. Marco Bellinelli, let me give you where he was on mine. First off, he was 30, and then Dave made me change him.
Because you're ridiculous.
All right, he was ranked 24th for me. You had Marco Bellinelli at 18.
Yep.
Ricky had Marco Bellinelli at 20. So I looked at Marco Bellinelli, and I see an old guy who cannot play defense, and he could shoot. So he brings 3. And look at the team he's on. Oh, the Atlanta Hawks. What were we talking about? These guys in the 21 through 30 range bring some value. They bring shooting. Mm-hmm. But they're on a bad team. And if Marco Bellinelli was on a good team, he'd be like 7 or 8.
What? No, I would never put him that high.
No, I'm saying he'd be like 7 or 8 on a good team. Like the 7th or 8th player off the bench. You put him on Cleveland, he's like behind, like Kyle Korver easily. He's behind Shump. He's behind, all of these guys.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't really value him that high. Why should I be valuing Marco Bellinelli this high on a bad Atlanta Hawks team?
Because he's an efficient shooter regardless, and because it's a bad Atlanta Hawks team, he can get a chance to stat stuff a little bit. They'll be chucking a little bit more.
So what, this is the Ersan Ilyasova effect?
I mean, I do love Ersan.
Ersan's fun to watch.
I'm a fan of him too. So, no, it just, he's consistent. That's one of the things that at least, like you said about Marcus Smart, offensively, you're not sure what you're going to get out of him, but Marco Bellinelli is complete opposite. Marco Bellinelli is going to give you good value regardless, and he'll give you the ability to spread the floor out, and you have to guard him at that line, otherwise he will take that shot. He doesn't have that hesitation. So that's the thing I like about him is, like, coming off the bench, he's going to sit behind the three-point line, he's going to make them be honest, and defensively he'll give you some ability.
See, the one thing that I just disagree with you, though, is I'm looking at your rankings. You had Marco Bellinelli at 18, like I said.
Yep.
At 19, you have De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, to me, obviously we know that more athletic, quicker, better going to the hoop.
Yep.
Marco Bellinelli, a better three-point shooter. De'Aaron Fox really doesn't have that.
Correct.
However, De'Aaron Fox is a better playmaker.
Yeah.
He's a better defender.
Though. He's a point guard, though.
And he's a better defender, though.
Yes. I put him there, and this is hard for me because I didn't want to overrate De'Aaron Fox because I really want to.
But is it overrating him if you put him over Marco Bellinelli?
It's uncomfortable.
Just why? So what was your thought process with De'Aaron Fox? Because De'Aaron Fox was 18, which I felt fine with, or he was 19. I'm sorry, he was 19. I felt fine with that. I didn't feel like he was too high. I feel like we overrate rookies in this, anyways.
We do. We like to play it up. It's very recency bias.
I feel like 19. De'Aaron Fox, very athletic guard, could be a defender. He could drive to the hoop.
He can defend. He can get to the hoop. The question is, at the NBA level, where will his shot be? And that's the only concern is, yes, he could get, 5 assists a game coming off the bench. Mm-hmm. He could get, 9 points a game. So if he goes like 9.54, 9.53, somewhere in that range, and, his offensive efficiency isn't great, like, how much more is that giving you?
I don't know. If he shoots 43% from the field, I would be happy with that.
If he can shoot 43% from the field, maybe.
He's going to be driving a lot, though.
Yeah, but I mean, there's guys who shoot worse.
Especially against, like, second-team guards that are going to be slower. I mean, if he's going up against Marcus Smart,
That's a question.
he's going to be shut down.
Yeah.
But if he's going up against a guy like Marco Bellinelli,
The other difference is you got to remember in college how quick he was to get around guys and how bigs near the hoop weren't able to defend against him. So in the NBA, where you have to play against legitimate bigs who have much better basketball IQ, much better awareness, and much better athleticism, you have the concern of will his efficiency drop while he's going for layups. He's obviously not a huge dunker, but like that's my concern is without having seen him play in the NBA against NBA level competition, it's very hard for me to put someone who is high potential as I really think he is going to have. It's hard for me to put him against a proven fact of a consistent outside scorer who has been nothing but, again, consistent.
But what at least defensively. He still has a speed
defensively.
defensively.
Yeah, he should be good defensively.
He has the size defensively. He has the wingspan defensively.
He doesn't have the weight, though.
No,
he's
doesn't.
a twig.
But
he will get run over.
And that's where Marcus Smart and De'Aaron Fox will differ. But, I mean, Marcus Smart brings only defense to your team. De'Aaron Fox is going to bring more offense to your team than Marcus Smart.
You think? I bet you Marcus Smart averages more points per game than De'Aaron Fox this year.
That's different. I'm saying quality offense.
Quality offense.
He's going to shoot better than him. I mean, I think it's different. Like, and I don't know. Marcus Smart might see it declining, a decline in what he's seeing.
He might not have to do
because
that much this year.
Jalen, Jason.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are going to take over.
You add a lot of scoring in
that.
that starting five, so it's fair. I'm just saying, like, it's very hard for me to do an unknown above a proven product, and that's why, like, even going a guy above that in Yogi Ferrell, like. Yogi was a complete shocker to a lot of people last year when he came out because he was undrafted or...
Yeah, he was undrafted.
He was undrafted. Nets dropped him after trying him out a little bit.
I'm pretty sure he was undrafted.
Yeah, thank you for that. And like he came in for this Dallas team and they just went balling with him and Seth and I was just like, what is going on? I mean, come on. When you have that starting backcourt...
I mean, he had 10 points, 3.7 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 2.4 rebounds. He was super efficient. I mean, Yogi Ferrell had a really nice season.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you got a guy like that who goes undrafted and puts up that kind of stat line. Like, that's my expectation is, like, if I can get De'Aaron Fox to put up close to that, I'm hoping a little bit better assist numbers.
Yeah.
Just due to the nature of the team and the way they're going to be set up.
And Yogi's a better shooter.
And
But De'Aaron Fox is quicker.
Yep.
Longer.
And better defensively.
And more athletic. So.
Again, but Yogi has done it. And coming in with no expectations and being able to prove yourself on an NBA level like that and earn your contract, I think that says a lot about him, and that's why I had to have him higher.
I mean, I had Yogi at 20, and I had De'Aaron Fox at 22. So I mean, I don't disagree with you there. I even had Jonathan Isaac above De'Aaron Fox because Jonathan Isaac is going to be. I feel like he's longer, he's quicker, and I feel like he's going to be able to cover
minutes though.
More versatile guard.
That's the question.
More versatile positions.
Yeah, he's. I don't want to get too back and forth on this, but like he is very good at his body, his wingspan, like you said, everything there athletically is great. The problem is what's your minutes, what's your impact in those minutes, and that's where I fear that Jonathan Isaac's contributions won't always show on the stat line, but he'll be more of one of those intangible kind of guys in his early years where he won't take over a game on paper, but if you watch the game, you see the contributions. And that compared to De'Aaron Fox, who I think will have a lot of highlight reel kind of stuff with some of the crazy passes he has, his ability to get off the dribble, off the pick and rolls so quickly, turn the corner, kind of like Isaiah Thomas was able to do this year and really abuse people.
Well, and two guys that I want to bring up that you kind of fit that mold. That fit the mold of just not dominating on paper, but dominate and help your team. And I think Toronto fans can talk about these guys, and especially you. That's the reason why we have you on the podcast. Corey Joseph, who we had at 15.
Kojo?
No, so we had Corey Joseph. Jesus. Corey Joseph. I looked at Joe Johnson, who was above him. Corey Joseph at 16, and then at 17, Norman Powell, one former Raptor and a current Raptor who's now starting at the sixth man over Kojo. How will these two guys, because these aren't guys that lit up the stat sheet at all. I mean, Norman Powell had a really nice per, but didn't get a lot of minutes because he wasn't a guy that was getting a ton in the rotation. And you look at Corey Joseph, a guy that's now moving over to Indiana. How will these two guys do this year, stepping into bigger roles and being one's on a worse team and one's now a six man on a playoff team?
Yeah, no, I think that's the big decider for me was role on team, and because Kojo is on a worse team, his expectation is much higher. His ability to take over and become the problem is I very much have questions about this Indiana team and where the points are going to come from, who the leaders are going to be. I know Miles Turner is the guy they're building around,
He's a stud.
rightfully so, and I have no problem with that, but you need a guard that you can depend on, and Kojo has an opportunity here that not a lot of people get this late into their career. I mean, this is his 6th year?
6th year.
He's finished 6 years. So this will be his 7th year in the NBA. And now he has a chance to take over at 26 coming into the prime of his career. So I think this could be like the best of both worlds for him. He came in as a backup player on a playoff team, and now he's coming into Indiana where he will start as a 6-man, but has potential to earn that starting spot.
And that's the thing. Jaren Collison is the current starter for the Indiana Pacers.
Yep.
Kojo could definitely jump him. So at least Kojo, what does he need to bring? Does he need to bring offense? Does he need to bring scoring? I mean, he's a guy that's pretty efficient, 45% from the field, 35% from 3 last year, 77% from the line. He's a guy that can create 3.3 assists last year in 25 minutes. I mean, that was pretty decent. And obviously, you know, he didn't have too much. I mean, he had a pretty decent role when Kyle Lowry was out. So, I mean, at least with that, do you think Corey Joseph will end up taking the starter spot? And do you think he has enough to keep that starter spot? Say they draft a point guard who's going to take over for him, like, or say they, you know, will they need to draft a point guard? Is what I'm trying to say. Will Corey Joseph be able to take over the starting spot and then be able to say to the Indiana Pacers, "Hey, I'm your guy," and kind of do what Kyle Lowry did?
Yeah, the problem with Corey is like his passing is not his best attribute. Like even when Lowry was out and he was covering for him, he only had 4 games with about 10 games total with more than 5 assists. Like, I'm sorry, as your starting point guard, having more than 5 assists is kind of a requirement, especially when you're working with someone like DeMar DeRozan, who is shooting lights out, someone like Valanciunas, which is just easy buckets for you. Serge later in the season, like, he has weapons around him, and he wasn't able to maintain good assist numbers throughout. So actually, I'm a little off on the numbers. Just flipped down to the bottom of this. He's like, okay, yeah, he had some better games, but still, my main concern with him is his ability to distribute the ball. So I think that he's a solid combo guard, but I would still prefer to go get myself a 1 who could just be a dependable passer.
He had 17 games with over 10 assists. Okay. I'm sorry, 17 games over 5 assists.
Yeah.
He had a couple at 5. So, I mean, he found a little bit more of a groove in March, 5.1 assists there, and he found a little bit there, and he was getting 31 minutes there. So, obviously, you know, in those games, 31 minutes, 47% from the field, 31% from 3. Yeah. 4.1 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and then 11.6 points,
not bad numbers. Not bad numbers by any stretch. So, again, I think he has a lot of potential to kind of take over. This is a great opportunity for him. On the other hand, Norman Powell, who gets to step up to the role of 6-man on a Raptors team.
Had a really nice series against the Cavs, like a pretty decent
opportunity.
Series.
And that's the thing. For him, it's a huge opportunity, and he gets to kind of be... Here's the thing, is like, do you think that his role is going to be kind of, and I'm just going to jump the gun and say playoff-wise, because that's in the NBA a lot that counts, is like, where does he fit in this playoff rotation against like Cleveland and against the Celtics?
I mean, he had a really good playoffs for the Cavs. I mean, a really nice, against Milwaukee, he dominated them. 55% from the field, 90% from 3. And it wasn't like he took 1. He took, he was 2 of 2 in the last game. 4 of 4, 3 of 3, and then 1 of 1 in the first game. I mean, he shot 44% from 3. Yeah, in the whole playoffs. I mean, he was very efficient. Put up 25 points in Game 5 as well. So I look at Powell, and you know, I don't know how he's going to do defensively against guys like LeBron James or, you know, Giannis Antetokounmpo, or, you know, when he's going to be going up against bigger guys and quicker guys.
The problem is he's a 2, but they ask him to play defensively kind of a couple of spots. That's the problem, because he is only 6'4", so it's like, when he has to guard bigger guys, they take advantage of him. But against 2s and smaller 1s, he's not too bad.
And then also, I mean, DeMar and Kyle, I mean, it's not like Norman's a guy who's going to be a facilitator at all. Right. So if Kyle Lowry's coming out, then it's him and DeMar.
Yeah, you've got 2 shooters.
Yeah, and both of those guys aren't that good defensively. No. So, and none of them are, I mean, DeMar's not a guy that's going to facilitate. He can create his own shot, but I mean, Norman's not going to be able to create for him and at least open him up there. So that's one thing where Corey Joseph was able to thrive, and I think they were a nice 1-2 punch, but obviously they moved away from that. I feel like Norman Powell, it will take a while for him to get settled, but again, like you said, their tools are there. He's still young, 24 years old, going to be in his 3rd year. You look at the playoffs, had a really nice playoff. Again, like I said, I mean, if you're shooting 90% in a 5-game series,
yeah,
that's pretty damn impressive. The one thing I worry about him is maybe foul trouble, because you look at what he did playing a lot of minutes in the last 3 games against the Bucks: 4 fouls, 3 fouls, 4 fouls, and then in every game against the Cavs, 4, 4, 3, 3. And I think that kind of went when you're going up against a guy like Kyrie Irving or LeBron James. If you're guarding one of these better players, you're not that good a defender. You're gonna reach and you're gonna try to overextend. So it's one thing with Norman Powell where I think defensively he lacks. And he's more of a guy that's you're gonna rely on strictly offensively.
Yeah.
But then again, I don't know how good offensively he is.
Right. And the thing is, he's gonna have opportunities because of the injuries, because of the age of Kyle Lowry, because of DeMar DeRozan not always being on the court. So he's gonna have opportunities to shine. He upped minutes per game. He's up to 18 minutes per game this past year. I think he's gonna hit like 22, 24 this year. So he'll have the opportunity. The big question for me is, are we gonna see his 3-point shot get a little bit better? Because, I mean, like you said, during the playoffs it was hot. During the regular season, it grew over time. But, again, unless you can really provide that 3-point shot, they don't need another DeMar DeRozan. They don't need a great mid-range shooter. They need someone who can stretch out the court, because that's been the problem. And that's why they got Serge. That's why they went out and paying for 3-ball shooters. It's just part of the game today.
Yeah, I feel like if Norman can bring a little bit more of a 3-point shot, which – you look at his April stats counting the playoffs. He was unreal. I mean, he shot again 90% in those 5 games against the Bucks, and then even 37% to end April. Didn't take a lot of threes in April, but still, he didn't play. He missed 2 games in April, but in the games he did play, still shot 37% from 3.
Right. It's just that consistency he needs to find throughout the year. Because, I mean, overall he averaged 32% for the year. Yeah,
you look at 32% over the year, but then he starts in November, he hits 50% of his threes. Then he goes to 34%. Not bad. Then he goes to 27%.
Yeah.
And then he goes to 30%. And then he goes to 28%. Then he goes to 37.5%. And then he shoots 90% from 3 against the Bucks. So obviously consistency needs to be there for Norman Powell. But I feel as a 6-man, he's got potential to grow.
Yeah. The thing is, both of these guys have tremendous opportunities, because Norman, under DeMar DeRozan, you have one of the best shooting guards in the league ahead of you. So you're definitely not going to have to worry about that. You know?
Let's real quick go. Joe Johnson, ISO Joe. Will you see a step up in his game, or will you
No,
see
he's
decline?
still falling off.
Okay.
He's still good in short spurts, but like he's not somebody you're going to have to.
Had a nice playoffs, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Your boy Jordan Clarkson. Will we see a step up from him, or will we see the
Clarkson
top end
is who
peak
he is. This is exactly what he is.
Even with
don't
Lonzo?
No. I mean, he may get a slight bump this year statistically from having Lonzo on the team, but by no means is he going to be, he's like budget Lou Will.
Would he be helped by Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball, being good players and serviceable players, or is he better where he's honest self by his own, like Lou Will?
I think we saw the best out of him during that first 2-month stretch out of the Lakers, when they were just jacking threes, playing a shitty version of the Warriors offense, and he was able to control the ball. I mean, I think he's truly best with the ball in his hands.
Last 2 guys, Rocco, your boy, he's probably gonna be starting, and Dario's gonna be the 6th man. But Rocco, what are you expecting?
Dude's phenomenal. Like, he's one of the best contracts in the NBA. He's gonna get paid this at the end of the season, which will be interesting, because I don't know if he'll stay or not. Hopefully he will. But again, what more can you ask out of a 6-man other than a 3-and-D player who is one of the most criminally underrated defensive players in the league? Just because he plays for the 76ers, he still is a great shooter, great defender.
And one thing, Dario, how will Dario actually do in the 6-man spot?
Dario will actually be really good in the 6-man spot. Because
you love Dario.
I do. Well, I was one of the big proponents, because he is I don't want to say a bulkier version of Ben Simmons. He's a little shorter, but he's got some body mass to him.
So he can more built.
Yeah, built.
He's a bigger guy.
So he's a more built version. He still has a solid passer. His shot needs some work, but was serviceable enough. His shot selection is what kills me, and awareness, like game awareness, is one of the things that really bugs me about him.
Do you think that will increase?
I think he will. It's like coming over from the Euro game. It's very different,
and also on a better team. Yeah. Do you think the IQ will help? Like improve?
Yeah, I mean, they just added, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. They're coming up with more and more players.
You're getting Markelle Fultz, you're getting Ben Simmons.
Yeah, there's a lot of improvements on this team. So because he got to soak minutes and buff his own stat line up a lot last year, I think the stat line's going to be hurt a little bit. But same time, he will be a better player this year.
And final guy, Will the Throw Barton. What are you expecting? I know you wanted Jamal Murray here.
I know. Barton's a good player, though. Honestly,
15.5 per. I mean, he was really good.
Yeah, I say he's a very good player. He's probably one of the guys who is probably going to end up being due for a big contract when he's up. But the thing for me is just like his role on the team is the question mark for me. And that's where it's like, yeah, he's kind of become, I think he kind of is going to default over as one of their better scorers. And I'm honestly expecting him to get better this year. I think he will only improve.
And that's the thing I want to mention is now with Danilo out, it's going to increase his minutes and that's going to increase his opportunity
Buckets
to shine.
need to come from somewhere.
So I'm intrigued by Will Barton, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. He's a possible guy that can jump in the top 10. Rocco will probably not be here. He'll probably be a starter next year. But Will Barton, Marcus Smart, and I'd probably say Corey Joseph and Norman Powell. Also, De'Aaron Fox, he might be a starter, though. Look for those guys to jump up, and Marco Bellinelli to definitely fall because he sucks.